Have you ever heard that turning 35 can become a stressful moment for some workers in China? In many countries, people often feel more confident and experienced in their 30s. But in China, some employees worry that age may affect their career opportunities. Why does this happen? Is it because of competition, changing industries, technology, or something deeper in Chinese society? Hi everyone, I'm Yu Ting, a Mandarin teacher from Guangzhou, China. Today, we'll explore the reality behind China's workplace culture, the challenges facing employees, and how AI is changing the future of work. Let's discover China together.
Okay, picture this. It is 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. You are walking past a super sleek, neon-lit coffee shop in Shenzhen, or maybe staring up at a massive glass office building in Shanghai. If you look inside, you'll see rows and rows of 22-year-olds just glued to their laptops, completely fueled by iced Americanos, working relentlessly. But then, picture a 35-year-old sitting at a family dinner table, secretly checking their phone under the table, totally stressed out about whether they're even going to have a job next month. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are diving into a really fascinating and honestly an intensely real cultural phenomenon happening right now in China. We absolutely are. And as a Chinese culture observer, I can promise you this isn't just some urban legend or internet rumor. It is a massive structural reality that is literally reshaping how millions of people live, how they work, and even how they plan their families. So here's the crucial question we need to answer. In a lot of countries around the world, turning 35 means you are finally hitting your professional stride, right? You've got experience, you're maybe stepping into a management role, you are basically in the prime of your career. But why does this exact same age create such massive anxiety for workers in China? Like, why is it viewed as this looming career deadline instead of a really great milestone? To give you an idea of just how shocking this whole concept is to outsiders, look at this quote. This is from a 37-year-old Reddit user named Bizarro_Zod, who was reacting to this exact phenomenon online. They literally said, "I'm 37, and reading this thinking to myself, guess I'll just die then." I know, it sounds almost like a joke to a foreign observer, but I really have to validate that this is a very, very real sociological phenomenon. It is constantly discussed on Chinese social media, it's covered by major news outlets all the time, and it is just deeply felt by the millennial generation in China who are hitting this age right now. To truly understand what's going on here, we really need to learn our first cultural keyword for today. It is 三十五岁门槛. That translates to the 35-year-old threshold. You might also hear it called the curse of 35. Historically, a lot of job postings in China have explicitly set a hard age cutoff limit right at 35, meaning if you were 36, your resume might not even get a single glance. And to understand just how extreme this preference for youth actually is, check out the age demographics at top tech firms. According to data from the Chinese professional networking platform MyMy, the average age of employees at massive tech giants like ByteDance, the company behind TikTok, and the e-commerce giant Pinduoduo, is just 27 years old. Wait, 27? That is wild! Especially when you consider the national average age for Chinese workers overall is around 38. Seeing these top-tier tech companies completely dominated by people in their mid-20s just brilliantly illustrates how intense this preference for youth is in the tech sector. Exactly, which brings us right to our next keyword. This is a term that pretty much defines the modern Chinese workplace. It's
内卷.
This translates to overcompetition or involution. Basically, it describes a situation where people are intensely competing for a very limited pool of resources. So everyone is just pushing themselves harder and harder, working longer hours just to stay in the exact same place. And the actual math behind this nejuan is staggering. Every single year, over 10 million new university graduates enter the Chinese job market. That is an absolutely massive wave of young, really energetic talent who are often willing to work for lower starting salaries, which obviously creates incredible pressure on all the people already in the workforce. For sure. And to survive that level of competition, you usually have to participate in our next term.
996工作制.
This is the infamous 996 work culture. It literally means working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Just try to picture young professionals in those glowing Guangzhou office buildings, working incredibly late into the night, totally sacrificing their personal lives just to keep up. Now imagine trying to sustain that exact pace for a decade. Right, and this grueling schedule is exactly where that 35-year threshold really stems from. According to reporting from the Financial Times, employers use something researchers call statistical discrimination. Basically, they just assume that by the time you hit 35, your physical stamina is naturally declining. You might be married, you might have young kids, and frankly, you just cannot handle the extreme, uncompensated overtime of a 996 schedule the way a fresh 22-year-old can.
And honestly, the reality on the ground often exceeds the infamous 996. While Chinese labor law actually limits the standard work week to 44 hours, data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows the average Chinese employee is actually working 49 hours a week. It's basically a whole system built entirely on endurance.
So, when you combine that exhausting schedule with major life milestones, you get our next keyword,
压力
which means pressure. And at 35, the yali hits so hard. This is typically the exact age when Chinese workers become the ultimate sandwich generation. They are suddenly burdened with heavy mortgages, childcare for their own kids, and elder care for their aging parents, all while desperately fighting to just keep their jobs. And we really have to talk about how this pressure disproportionately impacts women. If you look at the 2023 Women's Workplace Report by Jobing, 61.1% of women are actually asked about their marriage and childbearing plans during job interviews. And 51.1% of them say that age directly limits their career prospects. They are basically forced to balance basic career survival with this huge societal expectation to start a family. Yeah, and adding to that, the exact same report highlights another really striking data point. 41.9% of women work over 9 hours a day. So they are effectively performing a highly demanding, super competitive job, while also, in so many cases, acting as the primary homemaker and caregiver at home. The sheer exhaustion of that is just hard to overstate. Let's actually ground these statistics with a real story from the research so you can feel what this is like. Take C.A. Ling. She's a worker in a Shenzhen internet company who is rapidly approaching 35. Now, she earns a decent salary, but she is the primary support for 4 elderly parents and 1 newborn child. She is so terrified of being replaced by a cheaper, younger 20-something that she has entirely stopped buying simple luxuries. We're talking no more milk tea, no more food delivery. She literally eats plain porridge and instant noodles just to save money out of sheer job insecurity. And this kind of anxiety, it literally spills into everyday conversations all the time. Let's do a quick real-life dialogue so you can hear how friends actually discuss this over a meal.
你最近工作怎么样？
How's work lately? 压力很大，每天都在加班。
A lot of pressure, working overtime every day.
我懂，毕竟快35岁了，太内卷了。
I get it. Approaching 35 after all, it's too competitive.
是啊，期望不用再996了。
Yeah, hope we won't have to do 996 anymore. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, why not just leave the intense private sector? Well, 35 has historically been a double blow. If you burn out in the private tech sector, the traditional safe backup plan in China has always been taking the civil service exam to get a really stable government job. But historically, the government itself locked you out. The absolute age limit to even sit for the civil service exam was exactly 35. And you know, modern technology actually reinforces this barrier right behind the scenes. According to a 2024 iResearch report, online recruitment is the primary channel today, accounting for about 70% of all hiring. Because so much happens online, algorithmic matching creates this really rigid anchoring effect. If an HR system has 35 set as a hard filter, a resume showing an age of 36 is automatically thrown out by a computer before a human being even sees their experience or their skills. It is tough, but we definitely don't want to paint a completely hopeless picture here, because society is adapting. And this brings us to a much more positive, optimistic cultural keyword,
转型
meaning career transition. A lot of workers hitting 35 aren't just giving up. They're actively finding new paths, leveraging their deep experience to move into management, starting their own businesses, or just beautifully shifting to entirely different industries altogether. Exactly, and structurally, things are actually beginning to shift. The government is starting to lead by example here. For instance, in places like Sichuan, the civil service age limit has recently been relaxed to 38 or even 40 for certain highly educated candidates. Plus, the inescapable macroeconomic reality of China's demographic decline in its aging population means that very soon, companies simply won't have an endless, bottomless supply of 22-year-olds to hire. They are going to be forced to adapt and actually value the steady experience of older workers. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought for you today. Will an aging workforce finally force companies to value experience over youth? The 35-year-old threshold gives us such a profound window into the pressures of modern Chinese society, balancing this fierce ambition with the deeply human desire for family and stability. It really is a massive cultural shift, and it's happening right before our eyes. Look, if you enjoyed learning Mandarin through this deep dive into real Chinese culture and everyday life, make sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks so much for watching.
China's workplace culture is changing quickly, and understanding these changes can help us understand modern Chinese society better. A language is not only about pronunciation and vocabulary, it is also a way to understand people's experiences, values, and daily lives. If you enjoy learning Mandarin through real Chinese culture and everyday stories, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to improve your Mandarin speaking skills with personalized lessons, you can book a trial lesson with me on Preply. The link is available in my channel profile. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Next time, we'll explore another interesting topic. What are the differences between southern and northern China? See you next time.